Hello everyone, in this video we're going to look at three stocks which have done really well recently while the S&P 500 has been declining. So I have a chart of the S&P 500 ETF up here, SPY, the ticker symbol. If we change that to percent, down about 4% over the last 1 month time frame, 4.3%. If we go to QQQ, that's the NASDAQ 100 index, down close to 6%. But some of these stocks have been doing really well. So I ran a scan just basically for stocks that have performed really well over the last month. Made sure they had at least 2 billion market capitalization. So there's no like super tiny companies, a price over $5, and they trade at least 1 million shares a day. So good for active type trading. So the first one is SMTC. So this has been one of the top performers over the last month. It's up 39%. We can see over the last month, so really nice performance there. Over the last 6 months or so, it's up about 101%. So really strong movement. It's been a little bit sluggish lately, but we see this nice strong run and moving a little bit down with the indices recently, but definitely something to watch. One thing to look at on this one, actually all the stocks that we're going to look at today, is these are sort of bounce back stories, which surprised me a little bit that the top performing stocks recently were these kind of ones coming off really big declines. So this 2021 high declined about 86%, and we're basically getting a bounce. Earnings per share in terms of fundamentals, very erratic. They lost money in 2023, but analysts are expecting a return to profitability in over the next couple years. So that's maybe one of the reasons we're seeing a bit of a bounce here. Revenues, in terms of the company's revenue, been increasing pretty steadily, not every single year, but pretty steadily over the last decade. And yeah, just this big bounce, and yeah, fairly nice, pullback here for those who kind of look for the flags, pennants, those kinds of patterns. We have a really sharp rise and then one of these kind of wedging pullbacks. Do some trend lines here. You can see kind of in this little flag type pattern, with this being the flagpole. All right, let's go to the next one. Is PAAS. Maybe not too surprising given the strength of gold and silver recently. Really sharp rise here, and yeah, kind of a similar type pattern. We're in this rather steep pullback. For me, this is a little bit concerning, that huge red bar, but we'll see how that plays out. Same story again, huge decline coming off those prior highs. 2020 highs declined about 68%, and we're getting a big rally coming out of that big decline. They lost money in 2022 and 2023, negative earnings per share. Analysts do project profitable years in 2024, 2025. So again, maybe not a super surprise given that gold prices are going up, which then the company can potentially make more money selling their gold and silver. And yeah, just recovering out of this massive decline, and yeah, one to keep an eye on as well. Look at Coupang. This one's been considered, or sometimes called, the Amazon of South Korea, an e-commerce platform that was started in South Korea. And again, same type of story. We had the IPO here. That was the high of the day. On that IPO day, let's see if we can. Still obviously a huge decline, but yeah, that was big drop. Declined, yeah, about 86% again. It got really choppy through later half of 2022, 2023, and yeah, that's kind of been the story, but is trying to break out now, depending on, no matter where you really draw these trend lines, trying to break out And if we did some along kind of these highs here, yeah, really trying to break out a similar type pattern we talked about with Semtech, really sharp rise, and you can kind of see this bit of a decline in this. You could draw some little trend lines on there, kind of a bull flag type formation. With them, 22% higher over the last month, 27% over the last 6 months since its IPO in 2021. So not a super long history of trading on the New York the New York Stock Exchange. Revenues have grown each year, as have earnings, and they moved into profit in 2023. And they're expected to be profitable going forward, according to industry analysts, but 2024 and 2025, they're expected to make less profit than they did in 2023. So either way, again, kind of this recovery story after a big decline, and all these companies kind of were unprofitable, and now they're moving into profitability again. And yeah, so an interesting theme when I ran the scan wasn't the exact kind of stocks I expected to see. But when you have stocks that act very strongly when the overall market's in a decline, sometimes these stocks can end up being leaders for the next several months once the indices start going up too, because then that selling pressure from the indices and gets lifted, and there's already buying pressure in these stocks, as we can see, as they're pushing higher. So just some to keep an eye on. These are not trade recommendations or recommendations to buy, just simply, these are the best performing stocks while the market has been declining.